Hey everybody, and welcome back to Film Freaks Television. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I have my guest here,
Jackey Hall.
Jackey Hall. Jackie and I used to be roommates, but we're also like best friends. And I've known forever that this is Jackie's favorite movie, and this is going to be released on Jackie's birthday.
Yay.
So, yeah, I'm really excited. Um, Unfortunately, like we were supposed to do this yesterday and then it just didn't work out. You had a really nasty headache, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Um, and on top of that, my dog just passed away a couple days ago, so that sucked.
Yeah.
So we were doing this in April. Um, so and releasing in June. So that's a little whiles away, but
Yeah.
figured let's get it done now so we have it done and recorded. So we're gonna talk about Liar Liar.
Like
Pants on
fire,
fire.
on fire.
Yeah. So, when do you remember the first time you watched this movie?
No, I do not. I just know that like my mom got tired of it because I would literally just play it on repeat as a child. Um, it really helped me like get through the darkness of my childhood. This movie plays a really big role in my life. And reminded me to just stay silly and gave me a lot of good laughs when I needed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you said this was your favorite movie, right? Or is it Mrs. Doubtfire?
No, this one.
Okay. But Mrs. Doubtfire is what, your like second favorite or something?
Yeah, I was so drawn to Jim Carrey as a kid. Um, Jim Carrey and Chevy Chase,
Chevy
and
Chase,
then
yeah.
and then Will Ferrell a little bit later on down the line. But yeah,
And then at
and
one
then,
point, Kevin Hart.
yeah, Kevin Hart, when he kind of first started out,
Yeah.
and then I don't know, but he
He
just
kind of
stopped.
he did too much,
He
man.
stopped being funny to
Yeah,
me.
he kind of just did too much and he was all over the place and like that's the problem, you know? Like when you see just like one movie a year with the person, that's good. Like Jim Carrey would do like one movie a year and everything. And then all of a sudden if you see like Kevin Hart would do like three or four movies in the year and you'd be like, dude, it's like overload of Kevin Hart, man. And then it just wasn't funny because he was doing too much, you know, and stuff. So that's what I like about because Adam Sandler's my guy, you know.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey's yours, and Adam Sandler was my dude. Still my dude. I still watch everything. We watched a lot of Happy Madison movies when we'd hang out and stuff.
Yeah. I still love watching anything Adam Sandler's. I think he just like obviously I love Adam Sandler, but he's just not goofy enough for him to be my favorite. Like I
Yeah.
need like Will Ferrell, Jim Carrey, stupid, funny.
Well,
Yeah.
stupid, is generally the thought and stuff and whatnot. But this movie, so the basic plot of the movie is that Jim Carrey is a lawyer, but at the beginning of the movie, his son calls him a liar.
Yeah.
Right? And the teacher's like, no, 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 I don't think you mean that. He goes, well, he wears a suit and talks to the judge all day. It was like, lawyer, that's what you mean. And he's like, same difference.
Lawyer. Your dad is a lawyer.
Yeah, he's a liar
Like,
as well.
my dad is a fireman. All the kids were getting up. And then he's like, my dad, he's a liar.
Yep. And yeah.
Oh, that teacher
No, no.
was so over the top. Oh,
Oh God, yeah, that lady was like that, and then like you see her later when he like asked to borrow, the
mhm.
kid and stuff, so she comes back. Um, that was kind of nice to see that she wasn't just a one and done scene, that she was
Yeah.
his teacher for because it all takes place in like one day, really, or 1 or 2 days,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Uh,
Um,
but there is a lot of the humor in here that kind of would not fly in
um,
this era.
I mean, maybe, but
Another,
like,
what did he say about the teacher?
oh, that's only
Yeah,
something
I'm
ugly
not
people
gonna say
say.
it.
I said that. I said I don't care. That's something only ugly people say, right? That was that the one you were
Because he's
talking about?
yeah, his kid said, my teacher says that beauty comes from the inside. And he's like, oh, that's just something ugly people say.
I, let's see, at that time period, and even now, I think people could still say that, and I don't think that's not as bad. Like, it's not, there's nothing racist or or mean spirited. Everything he says is kind of what he thinks in his head, right? Like what's
Some
whatever.
people could
But
do that as being
but
very mean-spirited.
I guess they could. And now that I'm thinking about it, that would be bad because that was when he was telling the truth.
Hmm.
And so that was to say that that's an ugly person says that's the truth and whatnot, which maybe that line shouldn't have even been in there because he's supposed to be that would be I don't know. I just don't find like that line would have been okay, period, because that's something he would have said if he were like caught off guard, but lying, you know, kind of thing. I don't think as the truth because others remember he couldn't tell any kind of lie for 24 hours. His son put a curse on him, and as he said, a
Yeah, but
24-hour curse.
he was saying stuff that people think, but definitely don't say out loud anymore. I
Yeah.
used to think that line was hilarious, but again, the comedy line was here and now it's like here, so
Did you
I have to be
rewatch
careful
it?
now. Have
Did
I've
you like did
watched
you rewatch it before this
no,
show? I know you watched it a billion times, so you know
yeah,
every line of
I didn't have
dialogue.
time. Yeah,
I didn't think so, but I was like thinking, because it's on Tubi for people if they want to see, which is weird for me. Like I'm like, oh, okay. I watched it on my Blu-ray,
ooh,
which has
Blu-ray.
which has a commentary with the director Tom Shadyac, who directed Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, um, as well. And I did see a little bit of the making of where they talk about the stuff and like one thing they said like they were looking for a project for Jim and Tom to do again, and
Mm,
this was the movie. After this, they also teamed together for Bruce Almighty,
yeah,
which is very much kind of like I feel like this movie and Bruce Almighty and Yes Man are all sort of cousins of each other with the Jim
yeah,
Carrey world because
yeah,
they all like involve something happening. In the case of a Yes Man, he has to say yes, but that's a choice. Like he could always say no if he wanted to. He just chooses to do it because for a while he's doing well with it. It's actually really helping him. But then at the end, the guy says, I think it's Tony Robbins tells him, dude, you're supposed to say no after a while. Like you
yeah.
can't say no. He's like, what? You didn't tell me that? Like, oh my
They
God.
they all kind of have like little lessons in there.
Exactly. And I like it. Like, and then Bruce Almighty lesson is don't be God.
Yeah,
Like liar liar is in the words of Seth Rogen and 40 something was it a 40-year-old 40-year-old virgin, he looks over and he goes, the guy said he would was it Steve Carell said he would tell the person, he goes, good, you should always tell the truth. I watched a movie called Liar Liar, and the idea of that movie was don't lie. and that was a
Yeah.
smart movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I laughed so loud, like when I first heard that. But it's like as painfully, right? It's so true. Don't The message of this movie is don't lie, you
It was
know?
also a big knock towards lawyers too, though. Like how much they will lie just to win a case.
And if you watch, remember I used to show you that guy, the legal eagle guy, who would actually go through all the movies that have court stuff and he would like grade them and he would talk about he actually loves this movie. Went
Yeah.
through it and he did a two-parter for it. I guess there was a lot to talk about. So he did two parts and stuff. 'Cause this is a very court like heavy movie. This
Yeah.
isn't like some movies just have court a little bit in it, but this is like throughout the whole thing. Um, there's even a deleted scene on this disc um that has like an opening that alternate opening, that has him I'm glad they cut it. There's a scene where he is trying to say that this other guy was the good guy, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, seen the deleted scene or not, but like it was saying like the bad guy was actually the good guy, and he was trying to save himself from this like meek little man, and the guy was big and all this stuff, and it just goes on and on. I can see why they cut it. It just kind of goes on and on with the court. But I mean, he was Jim Carrey, like through and through, like saying all these things and doing, I mean, it was amazing. And it was a great scene. Um, and but they have that scene. They talk about that scene where Greta's like, the what is it? My friend had a robber come into his house and he cut his, leg
Like
on a
with a knife.
on a knife and
Yeah.
sued my friend. He sued my friend and got $5,000 out of my friend. Is that justice? What was the line?
I'd cut him 10.
Oh my God, that was so great.
Well,
Oh,
I mean, I don't know for everyone else, but Jim Carrey is like the dialogue that's in my head. That's how I talk. That's who my internal self is. And I mean, unfortunately, unless you're an actor, um, you can't act like that at your jobs in most places in public. So this movie lives rent free in my head, and I kind of cackle at myself sometimes because I would totally Jim Carrey this situation out, but can't.
oh, I remember you on our sets and stuff. Like, you remember the video that we have of you going around with the thing in your, and
Yeah.
and you're running around. That was so Jim Carrey, like just goofing off, having fun, right off when we're not shooting anything at that time. We were just hanging out. I couldn't even, you know, just hang out with you. Like he can't see me, whatever, doing all that goofy stuff, and I loved it.
It was the mating call.
The mating call,
I said, "What if you were a bird, what would your mating call be?"
and I was a cuckoo.
You're like, "Cuckoo."
Couldn't think of any other bird noise at that time, and it made Terry Jernigan crack up, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, no, I could definitely see you playing like a Jim Carrey part, something
The
so
thing is
goofy.
there's never been a female version of Jim Carrey that has went over well at all. I mean, not
Yeah,
for movies, maybe on like SNL, but um,
yeah, it's kind of
I don't
hard, I guess. I don't know. You're right. No, I would think maybe Melissa McCarthy, maybe a little bit at times. She's like the closest to a Jim Carrey. Like from her and Bridesmaids and stuff like that. I think she was the
maybe
cl
a little like a little bit, but not fully there. Yeah, I mean,
and
I can see
I
that a
think
little.
she kind of lost herself too. Like she was doing too much and she was all over the place and it
I
became
still enjoy watching some of her stuff. She's funny. And I like to see that, she made a really good career before it was popular, like to be more heavy set as a
Mhm.
person.
No.
Um, so I really love that. I really feel like she kind of paved a way. I think there were so many people that would be like, I'm not going to even try acting. I'm not going to even do all this because I'm not, 110 pounds. Um, I'm not tiny.
Uh, yeah. Well, the same movie too had Rebel Wilson,
Yeah.
so they were really trying to make it okay and comfortable for heavyset women to do that. So I applaud the
The people
director
that
Paul
gave
Feig.
them chances. I think that's
And
the first thing Rebel Wilson really came out in that like put her on the map.
yeah, she was so funny in that movie.
She
But
put
so
a
was
bag of peas.
Melissa.
You remember the put a bag of peas on your back, and so she opens up the bag of peas and she just starts pouring them onto her back. That got me so bad when I first saw that. I was like,
uh, she has
this chick is unhinged.
she has slimmed down a lot, and
A lot. She
a
doesn't even
lot.
look the same.
She doesn't look the same, and I kind of don't, you know, like I like her. I think and she looks great, you
Yeah.
know, um, and everything like that. But so, and so this is a different story than Liar Liar. Sorry, we're going a little off. Well, I can bring it back in a second with what we're
We'll
talking
bring it
about.
back.
We'll bring it back. But what I'm saying is like with her being heavyset, it was really hard, like because the beautiful thing about, and I've talked about this with a lot of people, like when Chauncey Phillips had a lot of weight and
Yeah.
stuff,
Hmm.
he was getting a lot of roles
All the
because
time.
there was always that role for that heavy set guy that
Hmm.
could poke fun of himself or just was there, whatever, so and then when you slim down and everything, you lose a lot of roles because now you're going up against a lot of people who've already been slimmed down because
It's a
most.
completely different character. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and most people are like the slimmed down character. There's not as many people. The heavy set people don't even go for acting much because they're afraid of being viewed that way, and so which I think is until Rebel Wilson and unless McCarthy kind of made it cool,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You're not seeing like, super small females in every movie and TV show now. There's a wide range of body types now, and that's good to see. I like that.
It is. And it's good for the mental health stuff because there's a lot of people who, like because of that they push themselves too hard and their mental health goes crazy just trying to be, up there. But to go back to Liar Liar, there's that big guy in the movie, I forgot his name, but he walks by and that's another thing you probably couldn't say these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Oh,
I'll what
oh yeah.
I
No,
can't.
you
No,
cannot.
you
What's
can't.
up, Fletcher?
Your
And then he had the line.
cholesterol.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he said,
Cholesterol.
fatty,
Man walking.
dead man walking. Oh my God, that was terrible. God. Now that like looking back, yeah, there's a few things. Like, whatever, that one part where he's like, takes the focus off your head. Well, I mean, come on. He was, but see, it goes to prove a point. He has a point in the movie where he
Mhm.
actually says it's okay to lie, right? Because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, right?
Yeah.
So if you were telling the truth all the time, you're being an asshole,
Yeah.
right? So there are
There's a
times,
time and a place, yeah, to if you haven't been able to correct your thoughts around a situation and what you're going to say is going to hurt someone, it's better to not say that sometimes,
right?
unless someone's asking you and they're really close to you. It's like if you were to ask me something like, Jackie, do you think blah, blah, like tell me your honest opinion. Like, I would feel comfortable enough telling you.
I think
Um,
we've had this conversation many times
yeah,
already, you know.
yeah,
But I know, I get that. And but like I watched like The Big Bang Theory, and a lot
Hmm.
of times in The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon will say inappropriate things, because he's not built that way to understand lying to people to make them feel better and stuff like
Isn't
that.
he like on the spectrum?
I think so. I don't know if it was ever I don't remember any episode or anything that ever actually discussed it. There
Hmm.
might have been, but like his characters seem to be a little bit, on the spectrum. A lot of people on the spectrum are geniuses,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
just don't know how to handle, social.
Normal, like day-to-day things. Yeah.
Yeah. And he never really had if you watch Young Sheldon, you see he never really had a normal high school and stuff and things because he never grew up right. He skipped grades and because he was so smart. And so he never really fully had the full like, okay, I'm here with people my age and you know what I mean? Like I'm able to do that. And so I feel like a lot of kids that were like that. But anyway, that's man, we are really going off. Um so to go back to Liar Liar, um I mean, there are things in this movie that I feel are inappropriate today, but still are part of what the 90s, was okay in the 90s, which that doesn't make it okay. It just makes it that's the way it is. So some people may not be okay with rewatching this movie or showing it to people, or
Yeah.
whatever, because they'll be like, "Oh man, I don't remember it being this sort of whatever." I just look at it like it was the 90s and a lot of these things were just normal, and everything. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying that that was what it was. You can't kind of change the past.
Yeah. Also, what I found interesting about this movie is that since he couldn't lie, he was forced to figure out a way to win his case by telling the truth. And he did. But even though he won, he wasn't happy with having his client win because she wasn't a good person.
So him not having to lie the whole day actually made him a better person for
Yeah.
real because he learned what he truly cared about. And one of the most devastating scenes in the movie to me was when he says to Audrey that he was a bad father.
Yeah.
That that made me cry, when I was watching it. I was like, "Oh my, oh wow." Like that is rough, because here's here's a man who loved his son completely, but says like he says it out loud, but he says it out loud and he realizes he can't lie. That hurts, deep. So I absolutely I cried on that scene. And then but then she was like, "You're not a bad father when you show up," which was
Yeah.
the
And I think that was another message in the movie to spend more time with your family and don't put your job first all the time.
I know you see so many movies, or I mean, you see so many people in real life doing that too, is putting their career before, you know, um, I just rewatched Click, and that was the big message was the guy was working his way, Adam Sandler was working his way up
Yeah.
instead of paying attention to his family, and stuff. And then
Yeah.
when he started to realize he could lose his family by doing this stuff, he was like, I'm gonna spend time with my kids now. Um, but it's funny because I was like thinking about it. Adam Sandler's the exact opposite of that. Because even though he works and he sets his own schedule, he has his own movies, he whatever. Um, he spends time with his family. He raises his daughters well. He spends time with his wife. He puts his wife and his daughters in his movies. Like he's not ever, he loves his family. And that to me is just amazing situation, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I agree. There's a whole lot of messages in Liar Liar if you pay attention to it. He really had to like navigate around making his life work without lying,
right.
you know?
Oh,
And unfortunately, in real life, a birthday wish isn't going to make someone not be able to lie for a whole day. So someone's not going to go down that path. But
Well,
I think it's important for us to take the time to look within and see what is actually on my priority list. Not what I think is on my priority list, but what actually is on that priority list. Yeah.
exactly. And that scene where brings the kid out of school, he was like, I'm Max's bad father. I mean, I'm Max's father,
Yeah.
right? And
That was
he's
fun.
I need to I need to just steal him for a little bit. So he goes and he tells him about the wish, and that's when, he asks all those questions, and we got the get that one part, and then they go do he was going
The
brings a
birthday cake.
cake, yeah,
Hmm.
for him to go and do the thing, but he can't do it because he doesn't want his dad to lie, and he says something very important in that is you know, it's like, daddy needs to lie. Daddy, when your mom was saying, she looked fat, I didn't want to hurt your mom's feelings. So I had to tell her she looked great, and stuff like that. And so we need to lie. It's like, but you're the only person who makes me feel bad,
Yeah.
when you lie. I was like, oh, that's another message. There is like, how you treat your kids, and
Yeah.
how when you lie, when you do that
It
stuff.
affects
Like,
them deeply.
yeah, it affects, I mean, we never realized that, like, I mean, look at the way that our childhoods, I mean, your childhood is completely different than my childhood. But like
Yeah.
when you look at that and then you try to think of like other kids and their families and stuff, you gotta hope that their families are doing whatever they can. And even if they get divorced, that's fine. I'm never saying anything bad about divorce, but but you got to be very careful with the kids, because they're just fragile, and their childhood is gonna make or break them sometimes. Like, you're gonna have the biggest, especially middle school years were my worst years of my life, and thankfully I still had a great childhood, regardless of like how bad and crappy I hated middle school. But I mean, then I look back at it and I say how wonderful middle school was. There was a lot of great memories,
Hmm.
and I think we have to understand like that it's because the way we're raised. And so with him, he had to be there for his son, even though his wife and him were divorced. I mean, they were divorced, right? I think that they were
Yeah,
divorced.
they
They
were
said that.
divorced.
Um, and then
She was with, what was his name?
Jerry.
Gary. I was going to say Gary. It's Jerry.
Jerry, which was played by freaking the Man in
Here's
Black.
the claw. Here's the claw.
No, it's this way. It's this way.
Oh yeah.
It's
The claw's
the
coming at
claw.
you. Rah.
I love that. I thought that was so funny because,
They cast him perfectly. Like he did a great job with that character.
oh man, he had there's one bit he cracks me up in that movie because, okay, if you know Carrie Elwes was the Man in Black in Princess Bride, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And he's British, and he's got a British accent or something, English accent. There's even a joke in Robin Hood Princess or Men in Tights that he was in. He was the
Yeah.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. It was like, I'm the only one who can speak with an English accent, right?
Oh yeah.
And then but in this movie he plays a very white, like American guy, and Jerry, and Jerry has this one bit where he's like, "Oh, great gift, Dad." Right? Thanks, Dad.
Wrap some raw oil around it and put a big rubber band around it.
Yeah. But the way he said it was so I you can't do it. I couldn't do it justice the
Yeah,
way he did it.
I
And he
know.
was so good. And but he was so like was it Jim Carrey kept calling him Magoo, like
Magoo.
Mr. Magoo. I was like, he's so Magoo,
He's like,
right?
Magoo. Yeah. He's
But
like, are you guys,
And she's like, well, we've
Months.
been dating for like, yeah, whatever. He's like, ew.
Yes. Ew.
Oh man. But I mean, their relationship. So first of all, I love Maura Tierney. I adore her in this movie. This is probably my favorite role that she's ever been in,
Hmm.
and stuff. And I mean, I've been seeing her a lot because she's on Law and Order. She's the new lieutenant. Uh, it's
Oh,
not, it's not I think I've told you before. So, but she's not Audrey in that. She's very tough. Like I was like, good God, I don't really expect like that out of her. But I guess in this she's kind of tough. You know, um, she's very sweet. She wants nothing but what's best for Max,
uh-huh.
and she knows that Max loves his dad. Like
Hmm.
the guy who plays Max is Justin Cooper did such a great job.
Such
You
a
know.
cute kid.
Yeah, he was in like Boy Meets World in an
Hmm.
episode.
Yeah,
And
he's so cute.
oh my God, in that episode, he also made me cry. So I know one of the actresses that was like played his mom,
Yeah.
Brittany Powell. And
Hmm.
in that episode, like, she was a single mom with the kid, and Eric from Eric Matthews, the brother of Corey in Boy Meets World, starts dating them and everything. And then he loses him because he got into a fight with him, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever. Like he loses them somewhere or whatever. And 'cause he wanted to play with his friends, whatever. Eric wanted to play, and then the kid walked off, and stuff like that. And he wasn't ready to be a father. That was the whole idea. It was a good episode or whatever. But Justin did a great job. Justin, I sadly has not really acted in a long time, and stuff. And
He
I
might have
feel like
just been one of those kids that didn't really care for the industry that much.
maybe, um, kind of sucks.
Hollywood is really hard on child actors.
Yeah,
They don't they don't get a normal life. Like they don't get a regular middle school, high school life.
um, okay, as of 2017, so this is 2017, Cooper is a producer and on-air commentator at Fox Sports Radio,
Oh,
primarily serving its overnight into early AM programs. He can be regularly be heard on the Ben Maller Show, and Clay Travis outkick the coverage and fills in on other shows occasionally. Um,
nice.
in his spare time, he enjoys karate, video games, and adding to his extensive Elvis Presley collection. Apparently, he's an
Oh,
Elvis
he's the
Presley fan.
Elvis fan.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, that's nice to hear, especially that he's got a job doing what he loves to do. You
What
know.
about this actress though? The one that's on your background?
Oh, yes. What's her name? She was great
I
in
don't know
this.
her name.
She was so that that scene, that scene in the boardroom where he's
Yeah,
roasting everybody, but he was actually just telling the truth of how he
tell the
felt
truth.
about
Yeah.
and that guy was like, "Oh, it's a good roast."
Who's Simmons?
Do
Simmons is old.
Simmons.
He should have been out of the game years ago, but he can't stay home because he hates his wife.
All right,
You
so
have bad breath caused by gingivitis.
Miranda, that's Amanda Donahue.
I like that name. That's a good name.
Amanda Donahue. Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Um, she is the last she's been in. She was in The Princess Switch 3, which I've heard of
Okay.
these. These are on Netflix. Apparently, they're
Oh, I have
I guess
not.
Netflix original stuff. Um,
Okay.
but it's apparently like it's like there's been three of them. It stars with Vanessa Hudgens.
Mm.
Um, and so she was in it playing Bianca Pembroke, but that was 2021. So she hasn't done anything since then. I don't think she's retired or anything. Just, man, Hollywood is tough. It's hard. Like you can still say, "Hey, I was in Liar Liar and had a really big part," and you might not still get,
Hmm.
um, but she punched out an obsessed fan of her boyfriend, Adam Ant, when the fan held him at knife point on British television.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
yeah. Apparently, she punched out an obsessed fan of her boyfriend, Adam Ant. I don't know who Adam Ant is, but that was,
Me neither.
um, yep. Oh, she was on stage as The Graduate. So she might still be doing stuff on stage as well. She might be also a stage actress. But
Yeah.
it's good. It's good to hear, like, because I really liked her, you know, especially when he was like, I've had better.
I've
And
had
she threw him out. Um, what's your favorite scene in the movie?
That's so hard for me to tell because like almost all of them are my favorite scenes. I think when he's like losing it in the courtroom with the face that I have behind me, I think that was one of my favorites because that's just the over top acting that I love. Yeah.
Wasn't that when, like, that was the beginning of the court, right? That was when he was first talking to her and Swoosie Kurtz, who I love Swoosie Kurtz. I think she's great. And she as the lawyer was wonderful. But she comes up and, he's like, she's like, "Oh, how are you gonna win? I'm gonna win because I'm gonna." Yeah. And you're like,
The
and
outtake on that was hilarious.
yeah.
She calls him an overactor, and
Oh
he was,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that part is overactor, and it's just a bit.
The bathroom scene's funny too, where he's beating himself up.
I'm kicking my ass. Do you mind?
Taking his tie and running with it.
And then the judge is like, "Who did this to you?" Or, can you describe the man that did this to you? 6'3".
Bad man, a
He
pitiful
goes,
fool at the end, or wait, a fool at the end of his pitiful rope.
like, can you describe him? 6'3", gangly, gangly looking,
Kind of
right?
giggly.
You know,
Pulled
um,
his shirt out.
Oh Lord. And that's the best part too, because like at that point, he thought he had that. He thought he had because the guy says that the judge asks him the question, do you wanna or says due to this event, we'll just reschedule us for tomorrow morning at 9:30. He's like thinking, yes, I'm out. And then he goes, unless you can continue.
Yep,
Like,
I got him.
damn, you
Like,
can't continue.
yes, I can. Commendable, Mr. Reeves.
Yeah. Oh man. I
But
lo
maybe the wait, what did he say? May we take a short recess break?
Oh no, that
He's
was
like,
later. That was later. That was another part.
I heard if you hold your pee that, and then he goes off the whole rant
That
about
was
how,
right before he went to the bathroom and beat
yeah,
himself up because of it. So
yeah,
he was doing everything he could to postpone this thing,
yeah, nothing
Um,
worked.
yeah, it's just trying to think of something that he didn't have to lie about. He had to pee. So, you know. Can
The
you hold
part,
it? Yes, I can. But I heard if you hold it, you won't be aroused. Oh, is that true? It has to be.
in that case, I better take a break myself.
So that was
When
so great.
Greta is leaving, and she was like, "What about this Tiffany frame?" And he was like, "Garage sale, 60 marked down from 10."
Well, that was because like Greta was like the best thing for him. Like
Mhm.
she was somebody who went above and beyond for him. She even remembered the boy's birthday when he forgot. Even though
Yep.
like he knew it was his time to like spend with his son, he didn't know it was his, the son's birthday. And yet she did. She got him a present, he got himself one, and then he stole it and gave it to the lady to be the partner, Miranda,
Yep.
which I thought was mean, it was, you know, lady's got to go buy herself another one, you
Yeah.
know. Um, huh. but but see that just shows like what he actually cares about. He cared about moving on up. At the end of the movie, he didn't care about moving on up because he realized that moving on up made him a worse person because
In a
he saw
in a way, he reminded me of like a narcissist.
he
Only
wa-
like he was like lying on purpose, knowing what he was lying to everyone and everything that he was doing in order for it to benefit him.
Hmm.
And he wasn't thinking about everyone else in those
Nope,
situations.
he was
Yeah.
not. So he was only thinking about himself, and that him. Well, so at the end of the movie, he's back, and like even 1 year, it shows 1 year later, he's actually with the family and the kids blowing out the thing, and he thinks that they were just trying to get them back together. So I guess they did get back together. But like, ha- so it seems like he's changed,
Yeah.
right? Do you
Yeah.
think he has really? Like, you don't think he has got those narcissistic qualities anymore?
I mean, I think he just had heavy traits of them. Like a true narcissist would not be able to change just based off of something like that. But um, I think he was a good person at his core. He was just going down a dark path and he was pretty blinded by it because he did end up changing it and he did everything, including jumping on an airplane. I mean, like that scene was crazy.
That scene
When
is so Hollywood. I mean, like, you don't ever see any other scenes like that where somebody's on a flight of stairs and they're just he's going to every what is it, every window. It's like,
yeah.
woo, you know. And then all of a sudden he's like, the guy was like, oh, you don't want to go because of Fletcher? And she's like, no, it's not Fletcher. It's like, no, Fletcher. And
Yeah.
he's like, hi.
Oh, pull over. Pull this thing over.
Oh man. That actually did look really good. I don't know who the stunt person was, but that looked
Yeah.
incredible with them flying through and through the boxes and everything. And then at the end, he's like, oh, like he's got all of the nose stuck up.
Yeah.
That was the cutest thing. Like, you kind of feel bad, but then he did everything he could. He showed up. He stopped the plane, and then at the end, they have that choice. Does he really need to go to Boston or not? And
Hmm.
he's like the guy, nice guy, the guy that probably Audrey should have been with if he were. I don't know what, she really did love him, but like he was a little off, or
Yeah, he was
whatever.
also like really well with Fletcher, like they talk about how he was cheating on her when they were married, so he was very self-centered.
Right. And so the guy that she's with, Jerry, is not that like at all. He's the exact
Complete
opposite.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was sort of the guy that you would think that Audrey should be with. But, now hopefully, if they ever could they make a Liar Liar 2? Like if they ever wanted to, could they?
Sure. I mean, yeah.
What would be the
I
case?
don't I don't think they would use the same characters. I
You don't
don't
think it would
or
be
actors. I don't think they would use Jim Carrey.
you don't think he'd be back?
I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
when was the last time Jim Carrey was in anything?
Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yeah, but other than that,
Other than the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, he really hasn't been doing much. No, he's been, and I think he's only doing those because, why not? Kind of thing. He enjoys doing it. It's just fun for him. But, I think he's got to that point in his life where he's done enough. He feels, and he doesn't need to keep doing. Now there was a talk about there was going to be an Ace Ventura 3. Um,
that'd be
and the
good.
writers of Sonic the Hedgehog were assigned to write it. I guess nothing aligned and they weren't able to make it.
Well, if they
Um,
remake any of them and Jim Carrey is not the lead, I'm not watching it.
so if they did like Liar Liar 2, but had like Will Ferrell, would you watch it?
If it had Will Ferrell, I would give it a shot, but it's still not going to be the same. It's
Well,
just
it'd be
Carrey.
a different
Jim
movie.
Carrey's Jim Carrey. Yeah, I mean you can't move around that at all.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't even it's wonderful to see actors and how they handle things because it's so different. Like Will Ferrell would play this character so different. If you replace them, he would have been he would have been hilarious, but he would have been a different Fletcher. Like he
Different.
wouldn't,
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any if there was always Jim Carrey that was for this, or if there was other people they thought of and then went to.
Cast Jim Carrey. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. Here's some trivia about the movie. I don't know if you know any of this. According
Trivia. Bring it up.
uh, according to an interview with Jim Carrey, he says that the gag of Fletcher chasing his son as the Claw was something Carrey's father did to him and his siblings.
Oh, okay.
When Fletcher beats himself up in the restroom, no sound effects were used. Those were really the sound of Jim Carrey's head slamming into the urinal, the floor, and the walls.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
because that scene looked real. When he goes and puts his head and that looked like he was really doing that. And
Listen,
I
he
was
must have
like,
been really committed because if that wasn't a set and that was actually like they went into a building and that is actually like a public restroom, I would have not been able to touch the toilet no matter how much they cleaned it like that. I would have not been able to put my head in it.
Jim Carrey declined the role of Dr. Evil in Austin Powers International Man of Mystery 1997 so he could be committed to this film and also to take a break away from having to lose his hair, put on makeup, and wear eye contacts for a role. Probably good plan. And Mike Myers just played
Yeah,
it. Like
yeah,
I don't see anybody else doing that. That would have
yeah.
been Jim Carrey would have done a great job, but it would have been a weird thing. When Fletcher's having the pen war, one of my favorite scenes, like the pen is blue, the pen is blue, the goddamn pen is blue. That's just
Yeah,
one of the best scenes. Sam the
it is.
Penwarden's office, he comes up from behind the desk with the word blue written all over his face. On his left jaw, BB King is written amongst all the blues.
Oh,
You have to relook at that, I guess. I don't remember that, but that's interesting.
yeah.
Um, Jim Carrey got so into the character that he said he would go home with total exhaustion. I believe that
I
100%.
believe that 100%. Yeah.
Carrie Elwes claims that people still come up to him all the time and do his version of the claw.
That's funny. The
And
claw,
now I got to do that. If I meet him, he's at conventions all the time.
is
Horror
he?
conventions. Yeah, he goes to horror conventions because he was in Saw. So he's
Oh,
in
I didn't
Saw
know
movies.
that.
Yeah, he's in the Saw movies. So he that would be great if I came up to him and I was like, I want you to sign my Princess Bride thing, but this is the claw. She'd probably get a kick out of it. Unlike the guy who played Wallace Shawn, who was in like Clueless and Princess Bride, he hates
Yeah.
when people come up to him and say, inconceivable,
Why?
because it's annoying, I guess. Like after a while, I don't know. Um, all right. Jim Carrey cameos as Fire Marshal Bill, a character he played in In Living Color.
Yeah.
During the scene where Fletcher is on the stretcher, Fire Marshal Bill can be seen talking on a walkie-talkie in the crowd.
Oh,
I did not
I love
see.
Fire Marshal Bill. He's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I have to go check that. I have Fire Marshal Bill. Oh man, that was great. The script wasn't about a lawyer. Fletcher was almost a politician or a real estate agent.
Oh,
Okay. The script was turned down 9 times before producer Brian Grazer bought it. He only heard 2 sentences about the movie before he bought the idea.
yeah. Oh, well, he's smart.
Yeah, he was the smart one. Whoever turned it down, they're probably kicking themselves afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the film is dedicated to Jason Bernard, who played his last role in the film and shortly died after the heart attack. That's
Mm-hmm.
the judge in the movie. I thought he did a great job. Mr. Reed. He was the
It's the
serious one,
yeah.
which was so great because there's that one part in the movie where he's like, "I am going to allow this just out of sheer curiosity, but Mr. Reed, if you dare, I love that. Jim Carrey agreed to do the film after reading the script, feeling happy to play a character who was a normal person, mainly because he doesn't have to alter his hair or put up makeup on the role. Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, the same reason before. Ah, Steve Martin was one time connected to the film. It was a quite different in many ways. Martin's version of Fletcher Reed would already be successful in his career, still married but in a bad marriage, and they would have multiple kids. When Jim Carrey was cast in the roles, elements were tweaked to better suit his age. Fletcher Reed is up and coming in his career, divorced and has one child.
Mm.
The God, could you imagine Steve Martin in that role? Like I love him, but I don't
Hold
think
on.
he would have
I can't
done.
put a face on him. I need to look him up.
Oh, you would know him in a second if you saw him.
I'm looking.
He's in like Parenthood and Bowfinger. You seen any of those movies?
I have, but it's not ringing a bell.
He's the white
Okay,
hair guy.
I
White
know
hair
who he
guy.
is.
Yeah.
Father of the Bride.
Father of the Bride, yeah.
That's how I know him.
But it would be weird for the Father of the Bride guy to be this character because I mean, I guess the way they wrote it originally was completely different. Tom Shadyac said he and Jim Carrey wanted to do the film without flatulence, but couldn't grow up that fast. Was there? Wait, there was no gas in this movie, was there? There's no fart
Yeah.
jokes. Were there?
Uh-huh. Remember in the elevator? It was me.
Well, I mean, it wasn't like
Everyone's like
yeah, but there was no like big
noise. Yeah.
loud gas noise or anything. It just
I don't think
did
so.
that. That
No.
was just funny. I like that better than if they did that, you know.
Mm.
Um, what will it be? A eventually. Oh Lord. And then Greta walks up and he's like, don't talk to me, don't leave me. I'm gonna say something to really piss you off. You
Yep.
know.
Greta
Oh,
finds out he can't lie.
by the
And
way, that stuff that she does where she's reading all the different things that he needs to do or whatever, everything that's real. That's real court like lawyer stuff. The lawyer
yeah.
guy said that they always have these certain things like a list of things that the lady will bring up and everything and so I loved hearing that stuff. You can watch that on YouTube. It's legal everybody cracks me up. Um let's see. Whoa, Jim Carrey was paid $20 million to do this film.
Wow.
That's
That was a lot back then.
um Jennifer Tilly described her character as a Beverly Hills socialite. Her idea of weightlifting is to wear really heavy bracelets.
Mm.
I liked her where she was like, you know, arms of the you were drawn to the arms of another man, seven. Whatever.
Yeah,
We
whatever.
always say that line. We always go, "Good for you."
Good for you. Yep, we do.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Like I had Taco Bell today. Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. Um, this movie is so freaking quotable. There's like quotes on like almost every scene, and and that is wonderful. Like that is one of my favorite things. Real quick, I want to do something that I've been doing for a lot of these podcasts that I've been doing. And if I get if I get the chance to look it up, because sometimes some of these shows I'm recording on my phone, so I can't actually, look these things up. But now that we're doing it on here, I want to see what the box office was on this one.
How much it made. Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's go. So it was the number one movie, domestic box office for March 21st, 1997, when it first came out. It made $9 million, 9,587,650. So it was the biggest one that weekend. Do you know what the second one was?
What?
Jerry Maguire.
Okay, makes sense.
And that was already in the that wasn't opening weekend. That was already in it twice. Um, Absolute Power was third, and Fools Rush In was fourth. That was the Matthew Perry and Salma Hayek movie where
Like, I
they
don't think
were.
I've seen that.
It was okay. It was Matthew Perry after Friends trying to be a movie star, and unfortunately, I love him to death, but he never did that. He should have. I hate to say it, he should have stuck with TV. But a lot of those actors, like Jennifer Aniston, tried to, did it has a great career with herself. Um, Courtney Cox is doing pretty well. Lisa Kudrow, not so much. She's been in films, but she's not like the only leading role she was in was in Romeo and Michelle, I think. She hasn't really been a lead. And then and Joey, man, Matt LeBlanc, he's a TV actor. Like he's
Yeah.
really good at TV. Unfortunately, he tried to have a career and he flopped badly. He did like that. Do you remember that movie Ed with him and a like chimpanzee?
Wait, why
Like
is this
playing,
ringing a
they
bell?
were playing baseball. It was like a chimpanzee that played baseball and like
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and he was in there as like one of the baseball players or something that became friends with Ed, the chimpanzee who played baseball. It was stupid and was terrible and it bombed really badly. And we're gonna do it for Hollywood Knockbusters at some point because it was that bad. But total overall, though, it made it did pretty well for itself. It excuse me. But it made 181,410,615 worldwide. So
Okay.
it's a pretty good score, you know. So this was a hit, you know.
Yeah.
Um, for especially I think it could not have been like a $1 million budget or $100 million budget.
Yeah.
How much do you think the budget was? Because if you got paid 20 million,
He got paid, well, okay, so he got 20 million up front just for doing the movie.
that's what it said.
Well, he obviously was like the biggest paid actor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with like 80 million.
No, 45 million.
Oh, they spent like half of the budget on him.
Yeah, almost half the budget on him. That's
God,
weird. That is weird. That's normally not the case, you know.
that's wild. Yeah. Well, I mean,
But
they didn't mess up. They got it
yeah. Oh, thank God. You know how mad Universal would have been if they had effed up, and all of a sudden, like,
right. They have $20
oops, we
million
should not have
on
spent $20 million. $20 million down the drain, you know.
on Jim Carrey.
But
Any money put on Jim Carrey was not a waste.
yeah, that's a pretty good bet. There's gonna be butts in the seat at that, time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. It's still very easy to watch. And I
Mm-hmm.
can see this being a lot of people's like comfort movies, like yourself, how you kind of
Yeah.
say that like if you're not in a good mood or something, you just put Liar Liar on, it makes you feel better, kind of brings you back to that time period where you first started watching it and it made you happy, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be the case with a lot of people.
This
And
movie was like the only consistent thing that I had in my life as a child. And so obviously it's a movie. It's going to show up the same way every time. So it just gave me like a safe space as a child. Kind of
man,
sad, but
imagine if they did that, they started doing that where movies just alter each time you watch it,
that would
you
be
know?
so
Right? Well, I don't know. That would mean that like how many takes and how many different versions do you need to do for that to like be a thing? But like at least 3 or 4 times, right? So you don't know you're not watching the same movie 3 or 4 times. That would be like the future of filmmaking, They're like, we need to bring people in. So let's make a movie where where you don't know what you're gonna watch. It's just gonna pop up and something's gonna be. I mean, it's possible, but you just need to film like four different movies with the same like theme, and stuff. And you don't know if you're gonna get Jim Carrey, you don't know if you're gonna get Adam Sandler, you don't know if you're gonna get Will Ferrell. Just one of those guys is gonna be in this movie, and I don't know. You
That would be
might
crazy.
bring the wrong, and they won't tell you, of course. You can't know before you bring it home. So you're shit out of luck. So you bring it home, you put it in, and oh, look, it's Will Ferrell, you know, like, and but it's the same movie. It's just with a different cast.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad idea, but I don't think anybody will go for that. At least not with a
No.
big cast, because
Oh
that
no.
that's an expensive movie, you know.
Super expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a great idea. I'm sorry. I'm stealing that idea for someday. Pitching
Do
it.
it.
If
Steal.
when Hollywood starts to really like are done, they're I'll just be like, here's a haymaker right here. We're gonna shoot this here, this idea, and they're gonna be like, nobody's ever done anything that crazy before. Let's do it.
Let's do
You
it.
know. But anyway, I love this movie. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen Liar Liar, I don't know what's wrong with you, and I don't know why
Yeah.
you're watching this video, other than for Jackie, you know,
You've
because
been
you're a
living under.
Jackie fan. Yeah, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but it's not the rock that's been watching Liar Liar, obviously.
True, true.
So, oh yeah, we're also I know that you're a big fan of Rush Hour, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the Rush Hour movies and stuff, because we quote that movie all the time, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but yeah, so there's a lot. I'm sure the next time that we do this, you'll be on for like Mrs. Doubtfire or something, 'cause I know that's up there as one of your favorite movies. Robin
Mm-hmm.
Williams is one of your favorite comedians too. You forgot to mention that.
Yeah, he is. I just have a stronger pull. Like Jim Carrey's like my like all. Jim
Because you're a
Carrey and
spirit
Chevy
animal,
Chase. Yeah, like, he's like my spirit person. Yeah. But no, Robin Williams, absolutely amazing. Like I never got emotional in any type of way when a celebrity has passed. I just don't get emotionally connected to actors. Um, but it was a hard day when Robin Williams went
I
on.
remember exactly where I was when I heard it too, and I think I'm always going to remember that because it was such a heartbreaking thing where you just find that out and you're like, what? Like how? Like
Mhm.
why? Like
It's like a piece of your childhood died,
I know.
Yeah.
Um,
And to know that, you know, he suffered with MDD, major depressive disorder, like I do. And I think a lot of people don't understand. I think that's a very common personality trait with people that have MDD is they're also like very funny.
hmm
Um, I think it's our way of
Coping.
coping and trying to come out of the depression. And it was just really sad that, finally depression got him. Yeah.
Um, and they always say the sometimes the funniest people are the ones who are like the most broken,
That's, yep.
and a
And
lot of
that's true. That's
and
very true.
and that's very true about Jim Carrey too. I've heard he's kind of broken a little bit and stuff and going through
Everyone's
his own
broken,
thing.
but
So
yeah.
yeah, hopefully but I hope that he makes more movies and comes out. I don't want him to do sequels necessarily. Do original movies. Make another Liar Liar type movie, like he did with Bruce Almighty and Yes Man.
I'll
Something
call
with
him.
a message. What?
I said I'll call him. I'll give him a
Call
call.
him call him and tell him that you're gonna play his daughter in it,
I wish.
or his love interest, whatever, you know.
Oh, I don't really want to be his love interest.
Maybe too young, and then you're gonna feel like, oh yeah,
No,
it might be
just
weird.
would not want to be his love interest. That's just not. I don't know. I love him, but not in that way.
There
Yeah.
are some people that I've met that love Jim Carrey in that way,
Yeah, of
and
course.
like that would like fully like that are just like in love with him. And I
Mhm.
get it. Like I get it because like Jim Carrey's like a cool dude. He's funny. Um he's he's not your typical attractive guy, and I think what makes him attractive is his comedy and how funny he is, you know.
Yeah.
He's as he says, gangly looking, like, but he knows
Kind of getting,
he's very self-aware, and he doesn't care. He's making movies, he's the lead. It's kind of like
his
Adam Sandler.
personality,
Adam Sandler is not the most attractive guy in the world. He'll probably admit that. But
his personality makes him, bless you.
yeah, I think, and sometimes I think that the people who are not the most attractive people, to go back to our Melissa McCarthy and stuff like that, and people who had to like defy being not the pseudo norm of whatever, they had to make it up with comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And but I think what they did, becoming big stars and being funny as fuck, that's the good looking thing. That's the thing that attracts everybody and
Yeah.
stuff. So, when somebody like Jim Carrey's character who's going, it's the claw, to I can see I'm like more Tierney. I can never do it as well as Jim Carrey or Carrie Elwes or whatever.
Yeah.
But when he's going around doing stuff like that, and it's just funny, you know, you look at that and you're like, nobody else can do that and make it work, you know,
Yeah.
other than Jim Carrey.
Yep. It's
Um,
just him. It's
yeah,
who he is. And I
that
love
is.
that about him. But he's more of like a best friend, like brother vibe for me. I would love to just hang out with him.
Well, from what I understood from what Jennifer Tilly said in the making of, a lot of it was improvised,
Yeah.
throughout the thing. Like she said that made it more like a camp, like more fun, more, enjoyable being on set because you were more loose. You didn't have to remember all the dialogue specifically perfect or whatever. You could just be yourself and be who that character was, be in that character. And for Jim Carrey, that let him just have free
Full
reign to
range.
do full
Yeah.
reign to do whatever he wanted.
The
And I loved
outtakes,
it.
everyone's laughing. Like they probably, like that high you have when you come off of a set and then you get into that depression because everybody kind of sort of becomes family. I
Mm,
bet they all probably really had a really hard time coming off of that set because they all laughed and made some really great memories together.
yep. And this movie is the greatest memory. You look back at it and you can always know. They did this. So Universal produced this amazing movie, and they did a great job. Thank you, Brian Grazer, for producing it and putting it together and casting Jim Carrey as the lead. Because at that time, who else would Adam Sandler's too young at that time. Who would have been who would have been the other person? Like Steve Martin had already been too old at that time to do it. So Jim Carrey was, I guess, the only person, you know,
Yeah.
and I don't think there would have been anybody as funny as Jim Carrey that could have done that.
You know what this is making me want to watch tonight? Super bad. That movie crap. It was like the first of its kind when
It's
it came
also a
out.
movie you can't make today.
Yeah, you can't. And I don't know. I just find something comforting in being able to go back to these movies. Like I said prior, they were my safe space as a kid. It was a space where I could sit and not have to think about how heavy my life was, and I could just be a kid and laugh while I watched these movies. So,
Yeah, Judd Apatow, who produced Superbad
mhm.
and directed 40-Year-Old Virgin, he actually said that nowadays you can't make comedies like this,
No,
like
you
any of
can't.
these. You can't because they're just too offensive to
Lord,
people.
well, everyone is offended these days, and well, you all know how I feel about that.
I just think it's silly, to be offended by everything, like
Yeah, I
I
mean, if you can't, there's something so genuine and lighthearted about just taking a joke for what it is and not taking it so personal and so serious. Um, and sadly, I I can't remember the last movie that I've watched that I do. The last movie that I watched that I never thought I would be able to laugh at another movie again because we've went there as a society was The Wrong Missy.
yeah.
And
Was
that's
that the
another
last one?
that's the last one. Yeah. And even before then, there had not been anything that made me laugh before.
Uh-uh. Yeah. Disaster
What?
Artist. Disaster Artist. Remember, like you were
Yeah.
shocked about that movie because you were saying, you were actually saying when you were watching it, because I showed it to you when I was out in LA, and you were you were like, this is, whoa, this is, keeping my interest. Like you were shocked about that because a lot of movies these days were not even keeping your interest at that time, and so you were like, wow, I'm shocked. But
Yeah. I miss just the innocence of just being able to sit and just take the humor for what it is and be able to laugh, you know?
yeah, I mean,
Um,
I think Adam Sandler's still doing that at times,
yeah.
He produced The Wrong Missy and he's still producing comedy. They're not like they don't watch what they say necessarily. But yeah, they're not as like that movie was like so over the top
He
that
just had a movie recently come out. Did I watch it on Netflix? What was the last movie that he just had come out? Because I watched it and I did laugh at one scene.
was he
It's
acting in it or was he
no, his
producing
wife was in it, but he was not in it.
it? Was it a what kind of movie was it?
It was a comedy, obviously.
Right, but like sports comedy, regular comedy,
Just
like
right. Um,
he produced a movie called Kinda Pregnant. That's out on Netflix.
yes. Yes, it's that one.
Yeah, and I think his wife is in that. Amy
Yeah, she
Schumer is the
is.
star. Yeah, she's the yoga class and teacher or something in
Yeah,
that.
and it's her scene that I actually chuckled in a little bit because she's like this yoga instructor and she's like, breathe in through your mouth and out through your butthole. And that
That-
got me, you know,
okay,
because
that's a you line,
yeah, she's
It
like
it
in through the mouth and out through the butthole. And she like says it like 3 or 4 times. It's just
now I
hilarious.
gotta watch that tonight. Now you got
Yeah.
me wanting to watch that. That's funny.
That
That's
one scene is funny. I mean, the rest of the movie was like, okay. I wasn't like, I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, but that one scene had me.
that's
I was like,
awesome.
that's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, what is it? The other one he did like a couple years ago was like "You're so not invited to my bat mitzvah," and it was like his daughters were in the movie. I thought they did a wonderful job. They were wonderful. Like they did a great job. Unfortunately, I think the problem I had with the movie was it wasn't it didn't go there anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
It might have been that might have been the thing of like I think it was PG-13 and they were trying to play it safe. And I feel like Adam Sandler does really well at PG-13 when he goes there and he does, right? And I feel like it didn't and I was kind of bummed out about that, but I liked the movie. I still enjoyed it. I like watching his movies still, and he's got a lot coming out. I think because of his Netflix deal, he's got as many as he
Yeah.
like as many as he wants. Because I mean, I don't know how well they do, but I guess they do well enough, where,
Mhm.
they're like, oh, let's keep you in business. Um, yeah, it was wonderful. Let's see. And then yeah, it was that you're so not invited to my bat mitzvah. And then like was it the murder mystery movies and stuff like that. There's a bunch I'm kind of excited about for him. And I think he's just gonna continue to keep making stuff. And Jim, I would love to see Jim do more stuff. I'm tired of Jim. not being in the spotlight anymore. Like he's not doing much. I maybe he's done. Um, but yeah, the last things he's done is the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. Aside from that, he's got one movie coming up called Evergreen Pines in the Fading Summer. And that sounds more like it says adventure mystery, and it said middle-aged man finds himself at a strange sleepaway camp, competing against eccentric campers. He searches for his missing friend and a mythical gray beast guarding a hidden treasure. The I just felt like I just smoked crack in order to like understand that shit. Like what in the world? It's from David Robert Mitchell, the guy who wrote It Follows. I don't know if you remember that movie. Do you remember
I
that?
don't. Mm-mm.
Okay, It Follows is literally a movie about a girl who like I guess somebody like there's like an STD that is like a dangerous STD that it's a horror film. So was it how do they describe it? A young woman's followed by an unknown supernatural force after a sexual encounter.
Oh God. Well,
You know,
kind of sounds like real life to me.
I don't know. It's I think it's a crazy movie from what I remember hearing. So I would love to I'd love to hear more about that movie for Jim Carrey, but I wonder if it'll happen. A lot of movies that are in development just never sadly get made unless they are already like set to get, to
Yeah.
go. So
Mhm.
anyway, what?
I said,
Okay. So hope yeah, I guess that's it. That's it. That wraps it up. I mean, we talked about the whole movie pretty much. I mean,
yeah.
there was nothing we left behind, right?
No, no.
No, I don't think so. So, um, I hope everybody's okay, and I hope the claw doesn't come and get you guys, because not that one at least.
Yeah, at least not the
Wow,
one finger claw.
one finger claw. Even what's her name did the whole claw like that,
Yeah,
even Audrey. That
yeah.
was we always laugh at that whole Fletcher, Fletchery.
God.
Yeah, yeah, that's so funny. Um, so yeah, check out Mara Tierney on Law and Order. She's a lieutenant there. I forget her name on it exactly. She's lieutenant. Let me look this up because I'm
Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Diane. Um, she is Lieutenant Jessica Brady. So, she's wonderful. She just had a crossover with, um, was it Mariska Hargitay from SVU? They both like clashed against each other, which was awesome to see. Two of my favorite actresses like battling it out, out there for Law and Order. So check it out. I hope they continue because they have not been renewed yet for both of the Law and Orders. So I'm like, uh-oh, that's not a good sign when it hasn't come out yet, saying if they're going to be renewed. Yeah,
Yeah.
find out. So anyway, everybody, hope you guys enjoyed this and join us next month. It'll be Paul's episode. I have no idea what he'll have planned. It'll be one of his crazy movies. He picks some good ones sometimes. Sometimes. Probably all the time. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna I'll let you guys go and I hope you guys enjoy this. Talk to you later. Bye, Jackie.
Bye.